What is up guys, it's Sam here from Create Everything, and in this video I'm going to show you how I created this logo here for Spin Productions. So let's get into it. I'm just going to start by saying that this Spin Productions wasn't for a customer or anything. This is something I just completely made up just in a random sketching session the other day. I'll show you a time lapse of that sketching session just in case you want to see that. This time lapse of the sketch is created out of an app called Procreate on the iPad Pro. My iPad Pro is about 3 years old now, but Procreate still runs lovely on there. And what you can't see in the time lapse is that I'm actually using a drawing guide, which is like grid lines in the, well, I guess the background or foreground of that on Procreate, and they look like this. So you can see that I can just get straighter lines and basically make my sketches a little bit more neat and tidy. But yeah, that's where the idea came from. So let's move over into Illustrator and start drawing this out. Okay, so because I had the sketch, which was a clear vision of where I wanted to go with this, I knew that the best way to draw it out would be just from a modified rectangle with a big fat stroke on it. The fact that Procreate has the grid lines was really handy because I knew that the overall shape of my logo was going to be 5 wide by 3 high, and obviously that translates into Illustrator as well because it's just squares, so it's just a nice little system. I have my grid lines set up here, and I also have snap to grid turned on just so everything's nice and easy and clicks into place and is all mathematically perfect. And also I have my actual grid set up so that they work perfectly with a 20-point stroke weight. And I think that's well worth changing in your preferences if you haven't already, just so that your grid lines work perfectly with your stroke widths. So you can see here that I created one shape and then just basically duplicated that and spun it around. That's the whole kind of concept behind the logo, is that it's just the same thing spun around, and you can see that it's making an S shape in the middle. So I wanted to add a 45-degree angle onto some of the inner lines. So I did that by just creating a white rectangle, rotating that around, holding shift to make it 45 degrees, and then just basically cutting out, and then just basically overlaying them onto the black just to give that 45-degree angle. Using a white box to cut away like this is okay for visualizing the logo, but when it comes to the actual final production logo, you obviously don't want that, because when you put it on, say, a blue background, for example, you will see the white boxes, but we can clean that up later. This is purely just for quick visualization. And you can see here that I tried another option where I used the 2 extending lines on the left and right and basically added a 45-degree angle into them just so it matched up with the inner part, and this is the option that I preferred and decided to take forwards. So now I was happy with the stroke, I expanded it and then selected everything and used the shape builder tool to get rid of them white boxes I was talking about earlier. So that icon came together pretty damn quickly, so next up it was trying to get some text that matched up. I played around with a few different font ideas just to see what might work, but then I kind of realised that I had developed something actually that sat really well with the font that I used for the Create Everything logo. Must just be something in my brain at the moment, so I ended up using the font called Video, which is the same as the one that I used for the logo for this channel. Because of how rigid and solid and blocky the font and the icon was, I could just align the top of the text to the top of the icon and the bottom of the text to the bottom of the icon perfectly without having to worry about the overshoot on the letters or anything like that. So now that I had the cool looking icon, cool looking text for the word spin, I needed to make it like the sketch and add the word productions as well. I'm not exactly sure what they're producing, but we'll say that it's music production, just because the word spin kind of sounds like spinning records or something like that. Now the word productions in the same font as the word spin just looked too big, too heavy, and kind of made it lack hierarchy completely. So I chose a font that's completely different called Commuter Sans Light, and that just gives it that contrast so that there's no sort of blurring of the words. It's kind of Spin Productions. Productions is definitely secondary. It's telling you what they do there, but without trying to kind of compete with the icon or the word spin. So now the building of the logo was done, I'd got the spacing looking nice and I'd got everything aligned nicely as well. It was time to add some colour. So I always like to see what the logo looks like on a white background, but then also on a coloured background as well. So I just split the artboard in half just with a rectangle, one side colour, one side white, and just make sure that the logo looks good both ways. And then just because I didn't like how it looked as a stark white and then the blue kind of just looked flat, I just kind of thought a little gradient in the background of both of them, and then the white logo on top of the blue background just looks like the white was like really like harsh against the blue. So I just put like a tiny little bit of black in there just to make it slightly off-white, which I thought helped the overall vibe. Okay then, so that is it for the process on this one. If you like the video, please don't forget to press like to help get this channel off the ground. And if you have any questions about the process or design in general or Adobe Illustrator, then just let me know in the comments below. Cheers!